welcome back. It's Jason from Pro Guitar Studio. Today we're going to take a look at how to use sixth intervals to outline chord shapes when we're playing through a piece of music. So this can be applied in many ways. You can use this as a secondary guitar part. You can apply this to your solos, a whole range of things that you can do with this. And what I've done here is created a melody that's pretty straightforward. It's not like anything too complex, using these six interval shapes, like I said, to outline these chords that I'm using. So let's just dive right in. First off, let's talk about the chords I'm using. Okay, so starting off from the beginning, I'm going to start with an F chord. Then I go to an A minor, then a B flat major, and then a G minor, and then an F major, A minor, B flat major, and then C. And so that progression repeats throughout. So we have basically those 8 chords as an 8-chord progression. And what I'm going to do here, I'm going to outline those chords with sixth intervals. Now, if you don't know what sixth intervals are, here's a quick little breakdown. So if we're playing a major scale, and let's use the key of A major here because we're playing in the key of, F major here. We're playing in the key of F major. So if I played through the F major scale, the sixth interval concept is going from one of the notes in the scale, let's say F, and we're going to count up 6 notes. So F is number 1, so we're going to count up to number 6. So we have to make sure we include the first and last note in the number counting, in the way we count, Here we go. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So from this note here, the F note, to the D note here, is the sixth interval. So within a scale, you can do these 6 intervals, and they sound really cool because they work out really nicely and they outline chords in certain ways. The best way I look at them is that you want to be able to visualize the chord shape of what you're playing in those 6 intervals, to be able to properly express what you want to do here. So now I've utilized just the F note with the D on top over an F major chord. It doesn't really sound that nice because it basically implies an F6. So it can work depending on the context of what you're doing, but if you're playing mostly rock, pop, blues, that kind of stuff, it's not going to apply in the same way. It's not going to sound nice starting on that F note. So you want to start on, the way I look at it is the root note as the top note, okay? So this note right here, the F note is our root note. So when I'm playing through this here, I'm starting my series of 6 intervals with the top note being the root note. Another way to look at these for anyone who's really into theory here is an inverted third interval. And that's the way I treat these, okay? So it's essentially treating the same way as a, if I went through, from the F note. When I play through the 6 intervals, it sounds the same. We just have now the third interval that usually is on top, on the bottom. So the harmony is on the lower note, okay? Now, if what I'm saying here makes no sense to you, don't worry. We're not going to really get too far into the theory here. Let's just learn the piece that I played at the beginning, okay? So the 6th interval I'm using there, these are all from the key of F major. And just so you can hear them, we're going to go from the 2nd fret, string number 3, to the 1st fret, string number 1. Again, the root note's on top. That's our first set. And with my pick, I was using them in an alternating fashion. Okay, so you can practice them like that. So 2 and 1, and then I have 3 and 3, 5 and 5, 7 and 6, 9 and 8, 10 and 10, 12 and 12, and 14 and 13. Now when we play them separately like that, we're going to call them melodic 6 intervals versus harmonic 6 intervals, which are played at the same time. So to do harmonic 6 intervals, you can use your pick and your middle finger, for example. Or just your fingers. My trick is I tuck my pick in between my index and my middle finger. All right, but for this exercise, just use your pick or your fingers because we're going to play them separately. All right, so again, we're going to follow this progression. So when I'm playing that first interval series, I'm going to play the A to the F, which is the 6th interval, from the A note. But the root note, again, is on top. That's the way I'm thinking of it, right? So for these 2 notes here, visualize the F chord, and you can see those 2 notes are in that actual chord. So it makes it easy to sort of see. And that's the way I'm trying to encourage you to look at it to start off, just so you can make sense of what we're hearing here. And I'm trying to surround the chord. So one interval set upwards or downwards can sound really nice as long as you resolve back to that interval. So I'm going to go from this note here. We're going to play string 3, 1, 3. Then I'm going to do 3 and 3, so the second set. and then back to the 2 and 1. So A and F, B flat, and G. And then to finish off, I'm coming back to the A and the F. So the rhythm is like this. Second chord is A minor, which is up here, right? So I'm going to play the 5th fret string 3 and 5th fret string number 1. Then we're going to go to 7 and 6. Back to 5 and 5. Next chord is B flat. So I'm going to do 7 and 6. And then 9 and 8. Back to 7 and 6. And then I'm going to go to the G minor chord, which is the 3 and 3, right? Slide into 5 and 5. Back to 3 and 3. So again from the start, 1, 2, 3, 4. All right, so hopefully that makes sense so far. And again, if you have any questions about these 6 intervals at all, what I'm talking about theoretically here, feel free to add to the comments below, and I'd love to sort of continue this discussion there. And feel free also, if you like this video, give me a thumbs up, subscribe for more videos like this each week, right? So this sort of helps me learn what you're interested in and make more content that directly applies to you. Now, this topic we're working on here, I'm doing this in a few of my classes right now, which makes it a lot of fun. And 6 intervals can be a confusing topic because of what I'm talking about here, the root note being on top. So hopefully this will help someone out here, find out how to make some phrases that work over an actual progression instead of just playing up and down through a scale, right? So that's the first series, right? The first phrase. The second set does the exact same thing, but at the end when it goes to the C chord, it changes, right? So it goes. Then we're going to go to 9 and 8 for the C chord. 10 and 10. 12 and 12. So I changed that one just a little bit. All right, now this flies through again, the whole sequence, the 2-part sequence twice, right? So we do it again, and the second time around to go into the solo, the improvised section, I'll play it here. So here's the first part. Right, so that's the first part. The second time we repeat that whole thing I just played twice. So the second time around on the C chord, we're going to go from 9 and 8, 10 and 10, 12 and 12, to 15 and 15. And then you can resolve down to 14 and 13. All right, so that ending there leads into soloing in the key of F major. Whatever way you want to look at it. So this is a fun way to sort of find out how to express yourself with 6 intervals without going too far into just plain drills and exercises. And usually, like, for example, the exercise you might look at doing is taking the F major scale and putting it into 6 intervals, which sounds like this. Sounds really cool, but when it comes time to actually apply it to a piece of music, it can be confusing because you're looking at the root note on the bottom instead of on the top. So I always like to encourage that root note for the 6 interval sequences always on top to start off, and then sort of work your way from there, okay? So again, we're thinking of this as inverted third intervals for those of you who know what third intervals are, and can treat them the same way. So they're essentially outlining notes in a chord. In this way, when we play the notes that exist in the chord together, sounds really nice. When we play notes that aren't in the chord, adds tension. So balancing that tension and release can make this sound really good and can be a lot of fun to play with. So have fun with this. Again, if you have any questions, let me know in the comments below, and I'll see you soon.